So recently it's been a tough time for child stars. We have the story of Mitchell Musso from Hannah Montana in the show A Pair of Kings, who was arrested for public intoxication and theft. And there is a massive reason we need to talk about him and all the other child stars. Let's get into it. Guys, before we get into this video, please like and subscribe. I want as many people to find this channel as possible. And today we have a serious subject matter to talk about, and that is child stardom. Like I said, Mitchell Musso was recently arrested for public intoxication and theft, but you also have the story of Alexa Nicholas, who has recently been on an emotional roller coaster through a podcast where she is identifying alleged predators within the space of Hollywood. You also have Miley Cyrus with her newest music video, Used to Be Young, where she gives a very emotional plea to who she used to be. And most notably for me, you have Allison Stoner of Camp Rock, who has a new podcast titled Dear Hollywood, where she talks about the ins and outs of child stardom and what she calls the toddler to Trainwreck pipeline. And that's just to name a handful of child stars. There are many that I remember from my own childhood who have gone down similar paths in life. And this toddler to Trainwreck pipeline has been around for decades. You have Judy Garland of The Wizard of Oz, who was a child star that was constantly on drugs and strict diets and being assaulted by media executives. You had Shirley Temple, who had made millions as a child star within Hollywood, but was left with very little when she was an adult. You have Michael Jackson, a harrowing child star story that we all know that is riddled with abuse and drugs and alcohol. And Drew Barrymore, who as a child was treated much like an adult and was also plied with drugs and alcohol. And then of course you have Jackie Coogan, who brought about the Coogan Law that stated that employers of child actors had to set aside 15% of their earnings for a trust that they could get access to as adults. And of course I want to note that there are child stars that do grow up to be okay and fine in our eyes, but does this justify the constant exploitation of children that is happening within Hollywood? We mustn't forget that at its heart, this is child labor. And it is child labor that involves putting on a show for people before you are even old enough to know who you are, and constantly getting good or bad validation based on the act that you put on.
Did you know child entertainers are exempt from federal labor laws, meaning they're dependent on state laws to protect them? And 17 states don't have a single law for child entertainers.
And then you have the issue of forcing fame onto somebody at such a young age, where again, they do not even know who they are, yet so many people claim to know them, want to know their personal lives, are following them, asking them for pictures, comparing their body image to other people. The laundry list goes on and on. So why is it that we can recognize these patterns and shared issues among child stars, yet we do nothing about it? Is it because they entertain us, that we are smiling and laughing and we think they're cute, so we don't recognize that there are problems happening behind the scenes? Is it because we live in a culture where we have essentially stripped children of their innocence and feel that they no longer need to be protected? Or is it because we just don't care about celebrities and rich people? They get fame, they have money, and presumably they have enough money to deal with the psychological issues that they will inevitably come to terms with when they're adults. Or maybe it's because we have our own problems to worry about and we can't take on the issues of other people, and especially child stars. All of these things could be at play, or none of them could be at play. We all have our own reasons here. But the bottom line is these children are thrust into a life that they are not even old enough to consent to. They have no idea of the physical, psychological, mental effects of being a child star, and even if you did let them know the warning signs, they wouldn't be old enough to understand. And this is a life that batters them and leaves them in the position of becoming underdeveloped adults who deal with things like mental health issues, drug addiction, suicidal ideation, and so much more. And if we can all recognize that it's difficult enough for adults to deal with fame, why is it that we are so willingly thrusting young children into the life of fame and celebrity and all of the other slew of things that come along with being a child star? And on that note, I will leave it to the Allison Stoners of the world to really detail the ins and outs of the toddler to Trainwreck pipeline. She does a fantastic job of doing just that in her new podcast, Dear Hollywood, which I urge all of you to listen to if you're interested in this topic. But what this issue of child stars pointed out to me is that we have a new frontier to worry about, and it's one that we are all aware of: the frontier of social media. We've all seen the cute videos of kids on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube that go viral. The corn kid,
it has the juice,
Mason Ramsey, Ryan's World, all of the TikTok baby influencers that exist now. And yes, you heard me right, TikTok baby influencers. On top of that, you have the creepy world of child models on Instagram that I've recently fell down the rabbit hole of. The creator that I mentioned noticed that she was getting videos like this on her Explore page of child models with millions of views and hundreds of thousands of likes. Upon looking into some of these accounts, I found that there are hundreds of them, and they are followed almost exclusively by grown men. Also, each of the accounts is engaging in promotion and commenting on other child model accounts. And when I tell you that there are hundreds of these, I mean there are hundreds of these. And the men who follow them are following hundreds, if not thousands, of other young girls and boys. Some of the men who follow these accounts are even in the comments asking to trade other child content that they have with other men who follow these accounts. Here are the accounts that one man is following, and this is barely anything considering he's following nearly 3,000. These online predators are very real and very active. And just like with Hollywood, Nickelodeon, and Disney child stars, there are so many more. They are effectively the new child stars of our time. When we are no longer watching Disney and Nickelodeon and traditional media, we are hopping on these social media platforms and finding, yes, adorable and endearing videos of young children doing funny things or saying funny things.
I like turtles.
And we are sharing and liking and commenting and validating this sort of behavior. It validates it for the child who now has an entire system of people who are watching their lives play out publicly. But even more than that, it validates this idea that parents should be posting their kids on social media. They get more likes, they get more comments, and in turn, they get money. Just like the parents of child stars who place them on TV shows on Nickelodeon and Disney. We are fueling an endless cycle of child stardom. And where there was a barrier for entry in places like Hollywood or making it on a big TV set, there is no barrier to entry when it comes to posting your child on TikTok. Gone are the days of skipping school to go to auditions or signing to agencies or talking to executives about signing your child. Now, all you have to do is create a username and password and you can start posting your child online for the world to see. And now that this opportunity has been given to the general public, hundreds of thousands of parents are taking the opportunity themselves. And I'll call it now, all of the same issues that we detailed earlier that child stars face are the same issues that child social media stars are going to be dealing with in the future. And what is the big elephant in the room that is hanging in the balance here? A lack of consent. Child stars in Hollywood cannot consent to being on TV. They can't consent to the after effects, both psychological and physical, that will be bestowed upon them as they become adults. And the same can be said for children who are being placed on social media. And since we live in a world where we now think that kids can consent to sexual reassignment surgery and hormone therapy, I'm gonna raise my hand and say I think we've lost sight of what a lack of consent means. And that's not to say that every parent who posts some sort of innocuous video of their child blowing out the birthday candles on their birthday is somehow doing something nefarious. But it does beg the question, why do you feel the need to post that on social media for everyone to see? I get posting a picture or a video here and there for your close friends and family to view on your social media, but I cannot stress this enough. Make sure that those photos and videos can only be seen by your close friends and family. Once you've seen the man behind the curtain when it comes to social media and child stardom, the fame, the validation, the body image issues, and the predators, if you still choose to post your child on social media, there may be an issue. And it is an issue of not taking your child's will and consent into account when you make a decision like this. And we're all implicated in this issue, unfortunately. I will be the first to say I am no stranger to having seen an adorable, funny video of a child and sending it to my boyfriend, but I can say now strongly that I will no longer do that. I am choosing to no longer engage with these photos and videos, for I have come to find just how inappropriate they actually are. And I sure as hell will never be posting my future child on the internet for others to see. I think oftentimes we forget that all of this social media and technology is relatively new when it comes to human existence, and with new innovations that, yes, brings about progress and globalization and connection, it also brings about issues. And it's issues that we need to identify, discuss, and most importantly, mitigate. And that mitigation can come in the form of legislation. I think if we're going to have legislation that protects child stars, and some states still need to work on that, but if we are going to have laws like that, we might want to look into laws that protect children on social media. But more important than laws and bureaucracy and red tape is us collectively making the decision that we are going to protect children. Protect their will, protect their consent, protect their agency and autonomy, and maybe decide not to engage with this content when parents choose to post their kids on social media. I am making the vow now to no longer do that, and I hope that you can join me in making that vow as well. If we don't, I'm afraid we're going to see the exact same cycle that we see at child stars. And when you think about the scale and vastness of social media, think about just how big of a problem that can become. The cycle of child stars and that toddler to train wreck pipeline is still something that effectively needs to be disrupted. And if that needs to have something done there, think about what needs to be done on social media. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this issue. Like I said said, this is something that I just sort of had a realization about in hearing all these stories from the toddler to train wreck pipeline. I'm sure there are many that I forgot that you can drop in the comments down below. And there are many social media stars that you've seen and you are watching these warning signs be laid out in front of our society. Or maybe you disagree with me, and I would love to encourage a healthy debate in the comments. So duke it out, but do so respectfully. And as always, please like, subscribe, click the notification bell to be notified every single time I post a video, and maybe share this with a parent who is posting their kids on social media. Maybe it will enlighten them that it is not the best thing to be doing in today's time for a multitude of reasons. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it at least sparked some sort of thought or conversation within you, and I'll see you next time.